Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rebel Nutritionist. I'm your host, Meryl Brandwine, and I'm the owner of the Brandwine Institute for Nutrition and Wellness, a holistic wellness center located in beautiful South Florida. We'll focus on nutrition, movement, and emotional balance so that when it comes to the real skinny about health, you'll have all the information you need to meet your own personal goals. We're excited to show you the way to long-term healthy living. So let's dive in and get started. Welcome back, everybody, to the Rebel Nutritionist podcast. So this week we were supposed to be airing an episode with Eva Brown on conscious communication and intimacy. And I was so excited to chat with her. And she had some really great insights into how to work with your partner for greater communication. But unfortunately, we had a little technical glitch, and we're going to have to re-record part of that episode. So that means that episode is not going to be released today. So I decided to share a oldie but goodie as a rewind. And I think it's particularly appropriate because I have been working for 3 years now at producing a podcast every single week. And thanks to support from my amazing team, I was able to make small shifts to prioritize the podcast and record each week. But as life happens, slip-ups happen, technical difficulties happen, and my team, I'm so grateful, is here to help me get back on track. And we were able to curate this episode, and we plan to re-record with Eva. So in airing our 100th episode and doing a rewind, I want to emphasize that this is exactly what we do. We help you, our coaches help and support you, and our team helps to support you get back on track, make small shifts in your life to help you move forward towards your goal. And they are, of course, here at times to help you when you need it, but more importantly, when you have things happen like this. Life happens when things aren't going so well and you need that little extra kick. So enjoy this rewind of the 100th episode podcast. I was so proud of the consistency that led me to this episode and excited to chat with my coaches to discuss the small shifts that we encourage from our clients to help them move forward towards the healthy life that they want. Welcome back, everybody, to the Rebel Nutritionist podcast. Today is a super special day because this is our 100th episode. Yay. So I have my whole team in here. We are going to do a really fun round table today. We're going to go around the room and talk about all things nutrition, things that we're seeing, trends and clients and all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you stay tuned. This will probably be a two-parter, maybe 100 and 101. So without further ado, welcome, team.
Thank you.
So I have Michelle Barron, Kristen Florius, I've got Amanda Shu and Jill Alter, and we are excited to get to it. So what I want to talk about today is, besides the fact that I can't believe we're at the 100th episode, what we hear the most and the most talked about wellness issues or topics of the time. So I am gonna, who wants to volunteer first with the topic?
Michelle has to.
Michelle, we're voting Michelle.
She's so excited about
throwing
talking
right
about
into
it.
there you go, because she's so good at just being on the spot. So have at it. Michelle, what would you say is a trend that you've seen that we want to talk about and address and really share with our viewers, our listeners?
So let's talk about the trend that went through this whole office, thanks to Kirsten here, Prolon,
Right.
which was, everybody was looking for weight loss, and a lot of our clients come with, that desire also. And so that was something that a lot of us did as an experiment.
Yeah.
And it was a big learning tool. So I know for me, I did it. It's a 3-round process. The first round I did it, I lost a bunch of weight and then went right back to my old habits, and that weight came right back on. And so it was really eye-opening about, the things that I tell my clients and the life that we want to live and have everybody, follow examples of the things that we do who we're working with. And I was not doing that. So it was kind of interesting to see, like, okay, round 2, let's try this again and take the habits that you want to enforce and, really embed in my lifestyle. And with the help with Coach Kirsten here, she was like, well, what are you doing with this and that? And I really helped fine tune. So for me, the hours from 4 to 6 are tough. And so Prolon helped me get that in shape. And then by round 3, that was good too, but it's good. And now some of our clients who are looking for the jump start where maybe they get stuck, like, so when people come and they're plateauing at their weight loss, then it's like, okay, let's come up with different things. It's not for everybody, for sure.
Right.
But for some people, it's a great option. And so that was a trend that I definitely jumped on board this year.
And so let me just backtrack a second. So we're talking about the Prolon, which is the fasting mimicking diet. And so again, not for everybody, but Prolon is based on the work of Walter Longo, which is the longevity research about what are the things that we need to do in our lives or that we should incorporate that help us live the longest and, let's say, healthiest lives. So Prolon was really born out of the idea that we can do some kind of fasting mimicking, which is different than intermittent fasting, right? Fasting mimicking is a 5-day stint of you basically reduce your calories each day. So we start out, I think it was like 1,100 calories or something like that. And by, the third day, you're down to 800 calories. And so I always joke, and Howie says this too, this is more of an effort in discipline, understand, and it's a head game rather than an actual hunger game, because you really you have to outsmart yourself. But I loved your point, Michelle, about it took you a couple of cycles to really adapt and accept and really pay attention to the habits.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So it's still not, the idea of Prolon is not about the quick fix. It really is about how do we create a shift. I don't know, Jill, you did it. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I feel the exact same way. I had the same issue the first time I lost weight. I was able to keep it off for maybe a few weeks, but when it was time for my second round, I was able to, get back in. For me, it was more of a mind shift.
Yeah.
Mindset shift. And so I was able to get back to my healthy habits after the second round.
Right.
So,
and I think
absolutely.
and Kirsten, you do. I mean, you want to
Yeah, I'm the Prolon queen of the office.
Yes,
yes, you
so,
are.
absolutely. Just because it makes me feel so good, and fortunately, I'm good with following rules and structures around food. So I wasn't too challenged with the small offering that I had daily, but I really felt energized towards the end of it. And more than that, I thought that it was a really helpful reset in terms of lowering cravings.
Yeah.
Like, I have a major sweet tooth, and that comes up all the time in my life. And I really felt like it really limited that craving for something sweet in the evenings. And by the time I did the second round, like, that was starting to wear off a little bit and the cravings were coming up again. But second round, got back straight on it and reset again. And I just find that it really helped me to maintain a healthy relationship with food,
Right.
in terms of not being so snacky in the afternoons and looking for something sweet in the evenings. So I've always just loved how it made me feel physically.
Right. And I was the same. I mean, I did by the third day, I was like, wow, where'd this energy come from? By the fifth day, you're a little hungry, but at least for me. But I do also, I echo those same sentiments. I don't think Amanda's ever done it.
I haven't.
So
And it's
we'll
not
have to
because
see.
I don't want to do it. It's because some of the food in the bar.
Oh, right.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
you have an
So I was
allergy.
trying
Yeah,
to find
yeah,
ways to
No, you
modify it,
can't
but I don't
really.
think you can.
No.
So,
Right.
No, right.
Yeah.
Those nuts and stuff or whatever that was in that. But but the takeaway on this is it is not meant to be a quick fix.
Mhm.
This is not meant to be, I need to lose, 20 pounds to get into a dress it really is, how do we reset our mindset around the idea of changing the way we think about food. And that's what I like so much about Prolon. You're on this regimented plan for 5 days. It takes the food equation out. So you start to really say, well, wait, I'm going to start to tune into my hunger signals.
Mhm.
Am I really, really hungry? Do I need that much food? I think that's a
That
big
was
one.
definitely-
And I think that's a big one for a lot of people. Like, wow, after they come off, they realize I don't really need as much food as I used
Yeah,
to
for
eat.
sure.
Yeah.
And I think, in our American culture, it's all about overconsumption.
Yeah.
And so we tend to overconsume. So, I think that's great. Yes.
I found myself like after it was over, like walking myself into the pantry, and then I'm like, what am I doing? I don't need it.
Right.
I went through
Yeah.
5 days not doing this.
Right.
Like, stop. Like,
Yes.
change your mind frame around. And so that for sure happened with me. And
Yeah.
that's been a great takeaway.
Yeah, I think mindset, again, we go back when we have a client in here, and part of the work that we do when we're doing our initial consultations and we're talking to people, we're spending the time getting to hear their story. And many times it's that mental, emotional piece for them that needs to get addressed and then overcome or find some balance there, so that they can start to reset. So I feel like it gives a nice reset in many different ways. All right, so that was Michelle's. Who else wants to throw something out there?
I can throw something out there. I don't know if this is coming up on my Instagram feed just because I'm looking for a little bit, but like all about just being clean in terms of the products that we're using in our household. I'm seeing it all over my Instagram. So
Right.
backing into that whole clean piece, I've really tried to ramp up my house a little in terms of what I did and what I'm trying to do better. But more than that, there was a great documentary on HBO called Not So Pretty.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if anybody's watched it, but if you haven't,
No, but I'm gonna write that
absolutely.
down.
It's only 4 episodes.
Okay.
And it's all about just the environment, but more than that, it actually gave recommendations on apps that you can download to check on the clarity of products. The one was called Detox Me. The other one was called Clear Ya, CLEARYA.
Okay.
And then the other one, which is pretty common, was the EWG.
Right. Environmental
So,
working group. Right.
Yes. So I found that it was helpful. Like each episode is only like 40 minutes long.
Mhm.
So it's not long, but it really does open up your eyes, because like the one episode they spoke about like nail polishes.
Uh-huh.
And like the ingredients that are in there, and like I'm a nail freak and I do my nails like every 2 weeks. I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But I'm like, pick your poison.
Right.
And they talk about like lotions and hair products too. So I think that it's a nice offering to people who are interested
Right.
in learning about being clean and the dangers of some of these products and what they're doing on our like endocrine system. So yeah, go and check it out if you have HBO.
No, and yes, so that's a great idea. I think we're going to all write that down, because I'm always looking for. I love those kinds of things, provided that there's truth to them, and I think there is. And I think it's interesting. I did a podcast this morning, and one of the things we talked about is the fact that our environment is so toxic, and over the past 20, 30, 40 years, how we live in this milieu of toxic garbage, and it needs to come out. We need to hear this more and more. And I think we are hearing it more. Obviously, social media is bringing this to the forefront. One of the Food Babe does a great job on all of that. We did a podcast with Eric Malka on the ingredients, right, on the products there. So it's definitely a conversation that's coming up. I think we all see that. But I think we also try to address it in the work that we do. Amanda's big on that, in terms of, and I want you to speak to that in a minute. But we have got to pay attention to our environment. It is way overdue. We are way overdue in really addressing this and talking about this, because this has to be at the forefront. When we look at things like cancers, they develop because of the toxicity, the endocrine disruptors, and not if you're paying attention, you hear it. So many people are like, I don't even know what that is. Like, we have got to pay attention to the cleaning products we use, to the skincare products that we use, the household products, all of these things, because they do add up in our system. And I'm with you on that, right? The nail polish. I mean, I don't do the keratin and all that kind of stuff, right? But we know there's a link to those kinds of things in cancer. And I know I just saw something about, right, they keep talking about the UV light and cancer with the nails. And it is a matter of decide where that balance needs to be, because unless we live in a hole, right, we're never going to get away from it. But the thing is if we want to have health and wellness and longevity, we have got to pay attention to it.
And we have to educate ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
right.
share that with other people.
Right.
Yes.
Everybody
For
makes a
sure.
difference.
The louder the noise. I mean, Amanda, this is your big area. Like,
Yeah. And And I think the more you become aware, the more you start to see it show up everywhere, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
but then you have knowledge and you can decide how, you choose to use that information, right? Like you said, pick your poison, right? So like, I don't get my nails done, but I do buy like the most non-toxic brand of nail polish that exists because I do want to have my nails done on occasion. Do I wear nail polish every day? No. But it's just like having the awareness is so, that's the first step here.
Mhm.
And then you see how it's showing up everywhere, right? In your beauty products, in your cleaning products, in your cookware. And it can be overwhelming, but I think as long as you start to get those juices turning and the wheels spinning, now you can make decisions that are bettering your health, because you have the knowledge.
Well, and I think a lot of people poo-poo it because they're like,
Yeah.
I don't feel it. I don't
Right.
feel it, right?
Right.
And the
It's
problem is
important
you,
to-
right, you do feel it because, everything has to get, every toxin has to get processed through your liver, through your kidney, through your skin, right, through our digestive system. So those toxins affect our liver, our kidney, our skin, our digestive system. And so if you have symptoms of, it could be allergies, it could be skin conditions, it could be different kinds of digestive issues. Like people don't think, oh, that could link back to the toxins that are building up. We are one system. I always say, right? We are one body. Everything that goes in and comes out affects our entire system.
Yeah.
And so all of these things, and the scary part is it becomes cumulative. So when I was talking to Dr. Connolly about the endocrine disrupt, right? We were talking about hormone cancers. And one of the things she mentioned is all of the toxins in our environment and that hormones, I mean, and this is a big one. People always say, well, oh, if I can't take hormones, they cause cancer. And we both had this conversation, like hormones don't cause cancer. It's the endocrine disruptors and the toxins that actually, cause the cancer. So, right, you can't say that unequivocally. There's exceptions to every rule, but for the most part. So I think that is huge and people really need to be aware and pay attention. So thank you for the tip on the documentary. What was the documentary
Not
again?
so pretty.
Not so pretty. So
On
yeah,
HBO.
guys, HBO, I'm gonna go download that or cue that up tonight.
I was gonna say also, but like, it's hard to even think like go cold turkey, everything. And we always talk about like, oh, I can't get rid of my Lysol and things like
Yeah,
that.
right.
But like the tiny steps, like I know for me, like I started using different cleanser and started changing what my
Yeah,
laundry is
exactly.
done, like little by little. And then it sort of catches on.
Yeah.
What's the next thing? Okay, I'm ready. So
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
not trying to do it all at once, but little things,
Right.
and they add up to make a big difference.
Yeah, well, listen, I had that whole argument with my family. So and me here, I do this every day and this is my work and I still learn, right? Amanda's I look at Amanda, I'm like, I want to be like Amanda when I work, I mean, look, I finally found a good deodorant after trying 8 million deodorants that irritate me. So I'm going to get, but just recently, I mean, I was using non-toxic stuff, but then I went the extra step and started using the Branch Basics, which I really love. We talked about that in another, and they have everything, right? The dish detergent, the laundry detergent. But the hardest thing was to get my kids to get away from they're like, we just want the downy, smelly stuff. And I'm like, if it smells, if it's got that fragrance, it's affecting your liver.
Yeah.
Well, lo and behold, and I'm not, divulging too much, but my girls are having hormonal issues right now. And I look at them, I'm like, you got to clean up your act here. And we've got to detox you. And part of detoxing is getting rid of all that toxic garbage. So,
But how lucky are we to be mindful of it now? And we see these brands that are really stepping up and
Yes.
providing these type of products for us. You
Yes.
just have to go out of your way to seek it. And
Yes.
that's the part that makes it challenging. But if you want it bad enough, you find it.
Absolutely.
And the
Well,
good thing is that everybody's watching. So once you Google it once, it shows
Right.
up.
Yes.
That's true.
All right, and listen,
That's
and this
true.
is why we're creating community, right? Because
Right.
we want people to be listening and saying, yeah, you know what? They've done their due diligence. We trust them because they've done it. It's not like we're just throwing things to the wind and saying, oh, we'll do this because we think it's good, or
Right.
some influencer,
Right.
like whatever. So I think that's pretty important. All right, who's next? What other topic do we want to touch on?
I'll say I noticed a trend in confusion
Well, yeah.
around like food and what to eat. Right, there's like 100 different dietary theories out there, and everyone shows up like, I want to do the ketogenic diet, I want to do, they come in with their mindset on a specific diet. But I think what is most important is just getting back to the basics, like eating real whole food, like starting there. cutting out the processed food, drinking more water, like the basics, we've really lost touch with what that is and what real whole food is.
Yes.
And I think there's so much confusion around what diet they should be on. And really you fine tune that as you go through our program, right? Where you're doing specific testing to see,
Mhm.
and then, you can tailor it to the individual. But I think just in general, there's so much confusion around the topic.
Well, right. And that brings me, so I kind of want to bring Jill into that part of the conversation, because you were saying, right, well, again, people come in here with the idea that we're going to change around their whole life, change everything about their diet, do it in one fell swoop, and they're going to be fixed and they're going to lose 20 pounds in a month. Right. And that's not how our bodies work. That's not how this process works at all. And one thing that you said was, and I think the other part is people come in thinking they need to be deprived and starved, right? That they have to be on this restrictive diet in order to have success. And that's part of the confusion with what diet culture puts out there, right? Because diet culture says, well, I need to be restricted. And and so not only does it create the confusion, now we're looking at all kinds of disordered eating behaviors. And so it sets that whole snowball effect. But Jill, I want you to talk about, you just mentioned something about a client who was feeling so good and talk about.
It's not just one client.
Right. Well,
since I've been coaching,
Yeah.
I have several clients. Well, most of my clients, after 2 or 3 weeks, I'm hearing how much energy they have. They have so much more energy. A couple clients say they don't have to nap anymore. And then I have clients who are telling me, I can't believe I'm losing weight and I don't feel deprived.
Right.
And they're eating food, and they're eating real food, and they're cooking real hearty meals, and they feel great. And that is the common theme that I'm seeing right now.
It's also like taking the numbers out of, like, maybe they're used to counting calories,
Absolutely.
counting points, micro, macro,
You
all
can
that
talk
other,
about it.
all that,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
I'm whispering, all that other stuff that they're so used to counting. Now it's like sort of like,
Right.
like a relief, like,
Right.
oh, I can eat these things that I really like.
I can eat carbs. Are you
Right.
kidding me?
Yeah.
And
So-
I'm losing weight. Oh my gosh.
I don't have to weigh my food and plug all the numbers into my app.
It's freeing.
Right, it is freeing.
Yes.
And we're seeing, since I've been coaching, I'm just seeing such great success. And people are very happy, and, they feel great.
Right.
So,
And it goes to show that it's not about adhering to one specific
Right.
diet, like Amanda said, like that, bringing it full circle. It really is about, are you, and the work that we do, it's all about, are you nourishing your body in the right way? And that is really the loudest message, because what do people want to know? What do I need to eat? But really, more importantly, I think we need to talk about what we should not be eating. And I think we echo this over and over and over, but people seem to just not understand, so I'm going to say, and you guys can all kind of go around, but sugar is definitely
absolutely.
the biggest one, because sugar is hidden in every single thing. Every packaged food, every processed food, and it is just everywhere. So for me, it's like paying attention to the sugar, paying attention to what's in that package, reading the labels. That could be a whole other conversation, because reading the label will just show you, okay, well, where's the sugar in there, and the hidden sugars and all of that.
And all those words that they don't know what they mean. Like,
Yeah.
stay,
So
stay
if-
away.
Right, if you
Yep.
can't read it, your body
can't
can't read
pronounce
it.
it.
Right. That's
So-
what I always say. If you can't
Avoid it.
read it, you can't pronounce it, your body doesn't know what to do with it.
Right.
So
Avoid
stay
it.
away from that stuff.
Yeah.
Who else? What else should we be avoiding?
Shall we talk about Ozempic?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
yes,
There
but
you
wait,
go.
we're gonna get there in a second, but so sugar,
Inflammatory
processed oils,
Gluten.
Processed foods.
right, processed foods, gluten. I think those are the
Yeah.
biggest, and people are like, well, why do you have a beef with gluten? So I'm just gonna go real quick. Why do I have a beef with gluten? Because if you look at the wheat grain since the Industrial Revolution, right, post 1950, it's more than 12 to 13% gluten, whereas the wheat grain, when it was really organic, original, before 1950, it had like 6% gluten. And so there aren't many digestive systems that can handle that degree of gluten. And that's the issue. It's just been so overly processed that our bodies can't handle it. So, staying away from the gluten or reducing the amount that you're taking in. But I think those are the big ones. And again, drinking water and the lifestyle piece of sleep and stress. And it's all the things that we talk about here and we continue to promote, but it is the consistency of what we see people asking for.
Yeah.
Right. If we're going back to trends, it still comes back to we're going to make the same suggestion
Yep.
because we know it works, like Jill just said. Right. We stay true to the script and it works
There you go.
every single time because you can't outsmart your body. Your body's information is food. Our operating system is food. And so coming back to what you were saying, Jill, right? So there's always going to be a trend, right? It was the Optavia, whatever, right? Now it's been big about the quick fix. And then there's this trend. It's whether it's the keto, the paleo, whatever. Now the scary thing is everybody is doing the injections,
Yes.
the Ozempic, the Wegovy, the Skyrizi, whatever all those are, right? But they're now the pharmaceuticals quick fix to managing blood sugar and subsequently what people think is weight. Although now studies are finally coming out that as soon as you stop these medications, guess what happens? You gain the weight back. So Jill, what were you going to say about that?
Well, I think you just took the words right out of my mouth.
Okay.
But so many people are looking into it because they want that quick fix. They don't want to put the work in.
Right.
They don't want to believe that they can eat real food and lose weight. They just want to know they're going to take this shot or take this pill and the scale's going to change.
And
That's just not reality.
well, here's the thing. People will do it and they will lose weight. But what I think the message has to be is weight loss doesn't equate to health.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing that we've learned post-COVID is that weight loss definitely does not equal health, right? Yes, we know obesity can make those kinds of things worse, but just losing weight doesn't make your body healthy.
Right.
And I think that's what people start to see, and the scary part is, these drugs are, now they're being misused, right? Of course, shocking. Americans think if a little is good, more is better. Doesn't always work that way, but it is, I mean, look, for some people, for people who need the management and the control, maybe short term, right? If you really need, I kind of feel like maybe Ozempic for some people that are really desperate and really just need to start to get a handle. Okay, so you do it for 4 weeks until you can work with people like us to get a better grip on the nutrition and the lifestyle piece. Because the other part that I want to address, in the time that we have also, is that it's never just about food. When we're talking in the work that we do, and this is what makes us so unique, is that we are looking at the lifestyle piece and they're being held accountable and having support. And I do want to go to our community because I'm so proud of what you've done, Amanda. So we're going to talk about that in a second. But I do think let's talk about this lifestyle piece because again, it just keeps coming back. Stress.
Mm-hmm.
And the sleep too. I feel like when people come in and they think like, okay, I'm going to diet and exercise and poof. And then that's going to be, the answer. And then when we're really honing in on sleep and stress and they're like, wait, I didn't come here for that. It's like, well, guess what? It's all involved. Like we're working on everything and it all is so intertwined that you can't overlook those things. And so diving into sleep, like you always say, everything backs into sleep. And I'm saying that now too, because it just keeps showing up. If you're not sleeping, then your hunger cues are off, your energy is off, you're not going to exercise, like everything sort of unravels.
Yep.
So we do have to look at all that stuff in order to treat the whole person. It's not just the food you eat and the exercise that you do.
Right.
It's so much more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think not enough people hold that in high enough regard, right? People, and I think it's very much like the stress, they just sort of blow it off. And you can't, if you're gonna, if you really want to have a healthy life and have longevity, right? I mean, and living long, you can't not sleep and expect to have a long life. What other lifestyle factors? Who wants to throw it out there?
Is stepping away from electronics.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, before bed especially.
Yes. Right. The EMFs. Amanda, you're big into that too.
Yeah.
I am. I do. I am mindful of my EMF exposure and I'm aware that I am also being exposed everywhere and anywhere that I go. So that is kind of one of those things that, you have to accept, but you could be mindful of the things that you can control. And so, yeah, we're pretty mindful of that in our house. We have this little device that shuts the whole Wi-Fi system down at 9 o'clock at night. So we're not being exposed all night when we're
That's
laying in
amazing.
bed.
Right,
I don't know,
And
I
also-
think my whole
Yeah.
family would shut down.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But there's it was interesting. We were at a lecture last week, and one of the doctors was talking about how sensitive he was to
Yeah.
EMFs.
Mhm.
And I think that's
Interesting to
something,
hear.
I actually think I do have that too. Like I could be in a place, like you all of a sudden feel your energy being zapped.
Yeah.
Totally.
And so, and maybe just that's the more in tune with your own,
Right.
right? And own intuitiveness of your health. But again, right, we're bombarded constantly 24/7.
But there's little hacks you can do too. Like I always keep the microwave unplugged. In fact, I wouldn't even have it in my house if it,
right.
if it was up to me. But yeah, just little things like that, what else? Trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, I put my phone on airplane mode at night,
Mhm.
so I'm not getting any of that exposure. So there's little hacks you can do. So.
Yes, keeping those EMFs low,
Yeah.
hydrating,
Exactly.
Meditation.
meditation
Oh,
and
yes.
breathing. So yes, I was waiting for somebody
a
to
good
bring
one.
that up, so
Yeah.
I didn't have to bring that up, but I got,
There you
so, but I think part of when we look at, people hear meditation and either they're like, yeah, we love meditation, or like, no, I just can't do that.
Right.
And I think the part of this, it's not an all or nothing. There's a continuum on this whole space as well, right? So we're not asking you to sit in a room and go, and chant, but by the same token, we know that stress ignites that fight or flight response, right? That is our adrenaline and the go. And so if we're in go and stress mode all day, and then we ask you to not do that, you're not trained how to do that. You're almost like, wait a minute, this is why my brain doesn't shut off. This is why I can't sit still. So like everything else that we're talking about, you have to train your body slowly. Best way to do that is just breathe.
Yeah.
Because if we're in fight or flight, that's the sympathetic nervous system, right? That nervous system that does that go. I am not safe. I have to look out for danger around me. That's really the evolutionary part of what fight or flight is I am not in a safe place. I could get attacked at any moment and my life is in danger, right? And so, I mean, look, there's definite consequences to that behavior as well all day long. I mean, health consequences.
Yeah.
But if you're in fight or flight and then we're just asking you to not come down, not be in that, how do I do that? So the best way to do that is when you breathe, just to do some deep diaphragmatic breaths, because when you do that, now you're telling your nervous system, you're igniting that parasympathetic activity, which is the opposite. Like, oh yes, I am safe. I am in control. I am not going to get attacked. And we can kind of let down our guard now so that we can decompress. And that is really what breath work does. It allows the parasympathetic activity to get ignited so we can slow down long enough to just be.
And I'm just sitting here listening, and I know you always joke around like, oh my God, you're like this, and my life is a little bananas that I am running like that. But it's so easy. As you're talking, I'm doing that. It's really easy to just sit. I always say coming to work is like my happy place because I can be and soak up all the stuff that we talk about. Right. It's great energy here.
Yeah.
And we're feeding all our clients stuff, but we're also feeding it to each other. And that's why this is so great that we all feed off of each other.
Yes.
But so like you're sitting here and saying that, and I'm doing it, and like that's how easy it is for our clients too.
Yeah.
To just breathe it in and sit, and you could do it anywhere.
Absolutely. And part of that goes back to the self-care, and that's what we've been talking about all month. And even this morning I did a walking video. Part of why we were talking yesterday in our meeting, and I'm trying to figure out how to better organize my schedule. And someone said, well, just, wake up earlier, do this earlier. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. My non-negotiable is my workout time because that's when I get outside.
Yeah.
And for me, being outside, for anybody really, right?
Yes,
We all
so
need
true.
to be outside in nature, but it really is about why? Because the sun's rays, the light, the UV, the energy from just seeing the sun on the pineal gland does something to our physical body, right? So that, and like literally we're all made of energy and atoms and neutrons and protons and electrons. Like that's what our body is made of. That's what the energy is of the universe. So the sun does something energetically to us. The colors, why do you think nature, the blue of the sky is calming, is relaxed, but that all resonates on a certain energetic frequency. So I am so in tune with that for me, getting outside allows my body to connect in a way and disconnect in another way that is very calming. And then it allows my creativity to come through. Right. And so a perfect example, we had a client come in who said she lives a very frenetic life. She has a lot of stress in her life. And she said, you know what? I finally got outside. I sat 30 minutes in the sun. And it completely changed my whole perspective, right?
So it's so true. And it, I started, once I got my sleep routine down, and I feel so good when I wake up in the morning. I've started to work out very early in the morning before the sun comes up. And I like to do it while I'm still outside and the sun is coming up. And it's very calming, but at the same time energetic, and it just sets the tone for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And I just find I have so much more energy on the days that I do that than when I don't.
Right. I think part of that too, and what the takeaway here isn't that you should necessarily get up early and exercise. That's always great. But even on days maybe where I'm not working out, I'm getting up early, I'm watching the sunrise, I'm having my coffee and I'm journaling. Right. And I'm taking that self-care time, it's quiet time, and it allows me to reset. And, the interesting thing is we were away this weekend for a conference and I was out of that routine. And I found myself, at the end of one of the days, I was so antsy. I'm like, I got to go walk, right? Because I didn't get the opportunity to be outside, to get the fresh air and kind of reset.
Right.
And so we don't realize how important that time is. And I think that we need to slow down a little. And life is so frenetic and so harried and so rushed. So I think that's huge, that we really need to be doing more of that. And breathing, just breathe, just do some breath work. Literally, like you can sit and do, the inhale, the long inhale, 4-second inhale, hold for 2 seconds, 4-second exhale. Like if you just start with that, right? That belly breathing. So, right. You don't have to go get a special app if you're listening. You don't have to you could be sitting in a car at a stoplight doing breath work. So, or Michelle, like she's sitting here doing this podcast and she's breathing. So, and I think the last thing that we really can end with here is the community, right? Sense of community. Maybe we should have started out with that, but I think if you look at all of the longevity studies, if you look at the health and wellness studies, having a sense of purpose and having a community is the number one indicator of health and longevity. And so kudos to Amanda, who really helped us start our community group this year. And you've done an amazing job at doing that and keeping us consistent with that and contributing to that. But I think we all here, like you said, Michelle, like we have our own sense of community here and we all feel so good when we come to work, and we are a team that bringing that out to the masses has been very inspirational. I think it's been great, so let's talk a little bit, because I don't think we talked about what was the impetus for you starting that? Because I think we talked about it a little bit, but
I think just knowing, just like you said, like the significance of having community and how oftentimes our clients come in and they're doing this maybe alone and they don't have support within their household or with their friends and their peer group. So the whole idea was to create this community page so that they can see that there's this tribe that's here. Our clients are doing this. So why not do this collectively together and have a space that's cultivated in? So that was kind of, the intention behind it. And so it's still kind of in its infancy stages, of course, but, we just know the importance of community. And like you said, we feel it when we come to work. So how nice to be able to kind of carry that on and offer that to our clients.
Yes.
Have your own private cheering squad.
Right.
Exactly. And a safe space to do it, right?
And I think that's so important, a safe space, because so many of our clients, and it, like you said, it's in its infancy, but if you guys are listening, get onto the community page. We want to hear from you. We want to be able to support you. I think for the past few years, we have all been conditioned to do this alone. And where there's fear in opening up, there's resistance in wanting to be part of a community again. And it's in our humanness to actually want to be. We're social creatures. We actually want to be. I think there's been so much fear put out and so much trepidation about that for whatever reason. I have my own theories about that, but we're not going there right now. But to create the community, the safe space, because so many of our clients have come from a place of trauma.
Yeah.
And not having that safe space. And not only not having the safe space, but being beaten down, both literally, physically, and emotionally.
Yeah.
And so recognizing that and supporting that, I think, for our community, for our clients, for you guys who are out there listening, is so important. And I think that is a huge key in the work that we do, is helping people really, change that perspective. We're not meant to do it alone. And I think especially as women, right? I know I was told the message I got, I wasn't told. The message I got was, be strong. You got to do it on your own. Don't show this, right? Don't show weakness, because you're not going to get ahead in the world if you show weakness, right? And there's whatever variation on the message that I'm sure we all received when we were younger. Maybe it's less so now because of all the inclusivity, who knows? But I still think they're underpinnings of that isolation of staying to yourself. So I think it's so important that people reach out, that people join the community, that they come join the events that we do, because they are geared for them.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody want to add to that?
Well, I'll add something to that.
Yes.
Just to stay tuned that, what we're trying to do every month is create an event that is circulating around, some sort of wellness topic. And that's just a good opportunity to meet in person and connect,
Yes.
at one of the events.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So come to the events, stay tuned on the Facebook page, stay tuned for our podcast. And as always, we want to hear your feedback, right? What do you guys think out there? What else? This was 100, but we're going to keep going.
Right.
So, what do you want for 101 and 110 and 150 and so forth? So,
but also knowing if you guys have suggestions, put them on there. What do you want
Yes.
the next podcast to be?
yes.
Yeah.
What's first and foremost on your mind?
Right.
I know my
Absolutely.
friends will start shooting out.
Yeah, exactly.
Ask Meryl this.
Right. And we get that. I mean, we do get the questions, but we want more of it and, more interaction from everybody, because we know it's not just, if it's on your mind, it's not just on your mind. Everybody else is thinking it too. So awesome. Well, this was great. Thank you, team.
Thank you.
And that I think is a wrap for our 100th episode. Stay tuned for what's to come in the future. Lots more exciting things and more amazing things in our community. So with that, this is your Rebel Nutritionist signing off, everybody. Make it a great day.